This video is following a problem that you work through using Mendel's pea plants versus Snapdragon crosses, and we're going to take a look at some of the differences you may have seen between those two. One of the first things you need to realize is I've got to throw the rules out the window that we've been following up to this point. We know the rule of Dominus tells us if an offspring receives a dominant and a recessive allele, only the dominant can be seen, such as a heterozygous or a hybrid individual is formed. They're also called carriers of the recessive trait. But we didn't see that in the second part of the problem. So for the pea plants, we know that if we have a purple and a white, we know that we should get something where only the dominant should be seen. So using the rule of dominance, purple times white should get us all the dominant, which is a purple flower, right? Because we're assuming that they're both homozygous. One's homozygous dominant, and one homozygous recessive. Comparing that to the snapdragons, right? Here you have a red flower and a white flower being crossed, and you don't get a dominant that would be all red. Here you get pink. So something very different is happening. A typical pea generation, right, for both of our plants. Here we've got our F1 generation, right? They're all going to be heterozygous. So let's assume that we're using for purple versus white, we can use capital P versus lowercase p, right? When you cross those two, all the kids, 100%, are going to have the genotype capital P, lowercase p, right? One's going to be dominant, that's why we get all purple. When we look at the snapdragons, our red and our white have to have special symbols. So let's say, and we can use R for red and W for white, and they're both homozygous again. Homozygous for red, homozygous for white. When they get crossed, each of the individual flowers here is representing a plant that is RW. Neither one is dominant. Neither one is recessive. You get what we call an intermediate. It's a blend of those two characteristics. So the offspring in the F1 are all heterozygous, but they don't show a dominant characteristic because both of them are essentially dominant nor recessive. It's a blend of the two. Something totally different. Different than the rules that we're following with Mendel. You can imagine an F2 generation now. We're going to take one heterozygous individual times another heterozygous individual, and when you do that, right, you're going to get our monohybrid cross ending, where you're going to have 1/4 genotype is going to be capital R, 1/2 is going to be RW, another one's going to be 1/4 WW. So you need to think about phenotypes. There'll be 3 different phenotypes too: red, pink, and white. So you get to see that the two that were missing in the previous parent generation come back in the third generation. So Mendel was very lucky when he chose pea plants rather than snapdragons to do his research. Some have suggested that he actually chose these particular traits that he was looking at because they did show rule of dominance. He may have been set aside or put on the wrong track if he picked another flower, but he knew that these traits would show that mathematical ratio of 3:1 from a parent generation to the final in a monohybrid across a second generation, which you can see in this data chart.